Mic check 1 2, it's the Y2K collector, and as I mentioned in a earlier video, it is selling season. Now, why do we sell games out of our collection if we're collectors? And the answer could be a number of reasons. I want to say that probably the most popular reason that people will sell games out of their collection is because they need cash fast. Video games, well, when you liquidate video games, they can sometimes be a very fast way of getting cash, especially if you have, um, you know, great avenues to sell those games, right? So that's one of the primary reasons why I think folks will sell games out of their collections. But one of the other reasons why folks might sell games out of their collection is because they're done with the game, and they're wanting to take those funds and put them into something different, right? A different part of their collection, maybe a game or a console that they want to have. I did this a few times over the past few years when it came to building out my collection, and I found that selling games or flipping games was a great way for me to get some of the more obscure pieces that I have in my collection. What you're looking at here is a Neo Geo AES. This is a very expensive console, and it's always been expensive, right? So this isn't expensive just because it's retro. Like from the day this was created, it was already pretty expensive. And to get, I think, just a console and the controller and the hookups, if I'm not mistaken, is like 400 bucks, right? And that's pretty expensive for a 90s console, I would say. It's bordering on PS5 territory. And I think like if you try to get one of these like complete in box, it goes up from there. I've seen Neo Geo's complete in box go for somewhere in the neighborhood of 800 bucks, right? Luckily for me, I had done a massive trade-in of Switch games, and I was able to flip that into this Neo Geo. Now, why did I feel the need to add a Neo Geo to my collection? Well, it was because I am very much into arcade style games. I grew up in the arcade era, the arcade generation, and the Neo Geo is home to some of my absolute favorite arcade games, including the Metal Slug series, Sengoku. You think about some of the shoot 'em ups. You guys have seen me play on the last few videos. I've been showing you footage of Blazing Star. Blazing Star is actually a Neo Geo game. It's impossible to find. I've been trying to find that game for the longest, but it just a genuine, authentic, clean copy is almost impossible to find, seriously, these days. And so, yeah, because of my love for arcade games and I like the arcade style games, I went ahead and picked up a Neo Geo console. Now, the console itself is really sweet, as well. Like it's so sleek and straightforward. It doesn't have all this extra weird stuff on it. It's just a straightforward, sleek console. Really love the design on this. One of my favorites in my collection. But this isn't going to be something for everyone, right? Like not everyone is going to find or see the value in picking up a Neo Geo console. Another example would be my complete in box Sega CD. So I had wanted a Sega CD for the longest because there were certain shoot 'em ups that prior to the Sega Genesis Mini 2 coming out and like emulation and stuff like that, it was really hard to get some of the games that I wanted to play, including Robo Alesti, games like Lords of Thunder, there were a few others. I think Android Assault. Those were some really tough games to find. They were really expensive at the time that I was looking for them. They may have come down since the release of the Sega Genesis Mini 2, because I know sometimes when these minis come out, the prices of some of the games do go down. And just a sidebar, the Sega Genesis Mini 2 is a great one of the better minis in my opinion. I think the original Sega Genesis Mini was a great mini. It had a lot of classic games on it, but the Sega Genesis Mini 2, definitely a great option, because not only do you get like Sega Genesis games, but you get a lot of really obscure Genesis and Sega CD games. Everything from like Truxton to Elemental Master to I think they even have some import ones on there. I'm not remembering all of the names, but Genesis Mini 2 is dope. So definitely, if you don't want to spend a lot of money on original hardware, go get that. You'll have a lot of fun with that. But back to the Sega CD. Yeah, at the time I really wanted to pick one of these up, and you have three options on the Sega CD. You can either get the original Sega CD that works with the 16-bit console. I think it also works with the 32 X, no, not 32X, but the 32-bit, the second gen, basically the second gen Sega Genesis, which is the one that I have. So I think I have the second model. The first model looks more like a VCR style. This one was the second one, and then you have the third one, which was the one that I really wanted to get, but that one was, like, at the time, again, very expensive. Um, that's the Sega CDX, which really just looks like an old, like, 90s CD player, just like a little bit bulky. Actually, the Sega CDX, when you really look at it and think about it, it kind of looks like a Dreamcast. Like, if they made one of those in like a cream color, it would look a lot like the Dreamcast. But I'm digressing. But the Sega CDX was the one that I really wanted because it was so compact. You could play Sega CD games on it, obviously, as well as Sega Genesis games. And it was just a much more compact setup than this big, bulky box thing that I have here. But at the time, I want to say that I had found this on Mercari at like a sweet, sweet deal. This was like 100 and something bucks, complete in box. And so I took advantage and pulled the trigger and picked this one up. And I've had this in my collection ever since. I've had this in my collection for years. But I am thinking about potentially selling this complete in box Sega CD if I am able to find a Sega CDX at a reasonable price that works. Because a lot of times there's issues with those ones. They don't come with the original controller. A lot of times they don't come with the original power pack or the power adapter. So those ones have a lot of issues. This one though was super complete. It has all the manuals. It came with the Sewer Shark game. So I've had this one in the collection for a while. And the box, it's got a little wear on it, but it's in decent shape. This box is in pretty decent shape. It's got some scuffing on it. I mean, we are talking like, mid 90s, mid to early 90s on this, but yeah, I mean, really good shape on this box. And like I said, it's come with everything in it. So these are the pieces of my collection that I really cherish. And this is why sometimes if you see me buying a bunch of games that I know I'm going to eventually flip, I usually flip those games into games like this. I go out and I find, some of the more rare and obscure retro pieces and add them to my collection, because I am still aiming more for retro. I think in the last like 6 to 8 months, I've only purchased 2 Switch games, one of which I purchased the other day, so I'll share that with you. I've got a few things to show you here on the channel. I have a few cool items coming in, not a lot, because these were all the items that I picked up in August, that some of them just haven't come in yet. But I'll share that with you. But yeah, just showing you some of the pieces that you can pick up when you decide that you want to kind of make some changes to your collection. You are able to flip some of those games you don't play and pick up some more obscure things. Let me know down in the comments, what are some non-traditional or non-mainstream pieces that you have in your collection that you love and that you're proud of? Not everyone's gonna like the Sega CD, not everyone's gonna like the Neo Geo, but I don't care, right? Because it's my collection and it's what's important to me, and that's how you should feel about your pieces. Let me know what you think down in the comments. It's time for me to go sell some stuff. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take it easy.